And Jesus answered them, "Those who are well have no need of a physician, but those who are sick. I have not come to call the righteous, but sinners to repentance." What up, what up? We are back at it again and diving into the rest of Luke chapter 5. What is happening, Jake?
Yeah, this is a good section of stuff.
Let's go.
So Jesus calls Levi, also named Matthew.
Spoiler alert. Come on,
I know.
man.
Sorry. Can't help it. So he calls Levi, and then Levi is stoked, throws a great feast, big party, and then Jesus comes over. And then the Pharisees get a little grumpy.
Boo.
Like, why are you hanging out with all those sinners?
They're so grumpy, man.
They are always grumpy. They're just having a bad day.
Yes.
Always. Every day is a bad day. So they get grumpy at him, and then Jesus answers with that line, tells them, "Hey, I didn't come for the healed people. I'm coming for the sick."
Yeah.
So take that. And then we get into a little section where people are questioning Jesus about fasting. And then we get this weird little bit about wine and wineskins and garments and a whole bunch of crazy stuff.
It's a great section.
It is a good section.
We'll get into it in just a minute. But first, let's get into Jesus calling Matthew, because this is rad.
Yeah.
Number one, when Jesus calls a disciple, what do they do? Every time.
Follow him.
Immediately.
I wonder if there were any disciples that he called that were like, "Yeah, I'm good," and so they just never like wrote it in.
They just never, and leaving everything, he rose and followed him. Like,
Yeah. Okay.
someone worth following apparently is Jesus, and Levi Matthew is stoked on it. So here's the scene though. Jesus is at a dinner party, right?
Yeah.
And Matthew has invited over all of his tax collector friends, and Jesus is reclining at the table. He's kicking back, he's relaxing, and he is calling them into a new way of life, where we get the line, "I have not come to call the righteous, but sinners to repentance." That is his response to the Pharisees going, "Why are you hanging out with sinners and tax collectors?" Tax collectors, the worst of the worst. They're so mad and frustrated with the tax collectors because, once again, if you haven't been here before, they're working for Rome. They're stealing money from their own people's pockets. Give me that money. And they're taking it and they're giving it to Rome, and then they're living fat off of it. And they're just the worst of the worst.
Yeah.
Yet Jesus doesn't cancel them. Jesus doesn't say, you've gone too far, you've done too much, you're done, you're out. Peace out. Like, I'm here for the people who are trying to be good. It's like, no, I came for the lost. I came for those who are far from God, who don't know. And he's inviting them into something new. So from this section, we need to know that Jesus isn't going to cancel anyone. He's always calling us. We live in a culture and a time where it's like, oh, you did one thing bad, like you don't have a job anymore. You shouldn't be alive anymore. Like, go crawl in a hole and stay away from society forever.
Yikes.
And Jesus's way, the kingdom way is forgiveness and grace and mercy and second, third, fourth, fifth chances all the time. And that is the kind of world that I want to live in.
Yeah.
Because even my life, the things I say I want to do, I fall short of those. I can't. Jesus is the only one who lived the life where he what is it? He walked the talk. Like, whatever he said he did, like he did.
Yeah.
His actions always did that. I fall short of even my own aspirations for how I want to live my life all the time. I get angry when I shouldn't. Pride sneaks in. All these things sneak in that I know I shouldn't be doing, but yet they get the best of me. So Jesus, when he hits this line, and this is important too, Jake, because, I mean, what do we say about, like, as Christians, should we just bail on everybody else that is far from God? Like, are you just only supposed to hang out with other Christians?
No. See, I like this because it's so opposite the idea of like, oh, I got to clean myself up before I come to church, like clean myself up to get to Jesus. It's like, no, this is the exact opposite. It's like Jesus calls you as you are, no matter how like sick and broken you are. But he doesn't come to you and be like, okay, I know you're really sick, but that's fine. You can stay that way.
Yeah.
He calls you then, as we're going to talk about, he calls you into something new.
Yeah. This is great. He's not hanging out with them just to hang out with them.
Yeah.
He is calling them in, even Levi. He left everything to follow. It's follow after me. So he goes to the party, and then it's if you're following after someone, you're learning their ways, you're doing things the way they're doing things, you're open to something new.
Mm-hmm.
And that is exactly what we need to be. We need to be open to having Jesus shape us and teach us the new way to live in his kingdom and do things his way, not our way. We need a different way. Our way, no good. No good.
No good.
No good. And that's exactly what he begins to explain as he's talking about this whole new wine and old wineskin situation, this new piece of garment on old piece of garment thing. And it's kind of funky. First off, we don't have wineskins anymore.
Nope.
Wineskins are kind of gross, in case you didn't know. It's basically like pig bladders and all this other stuff that holds it, and it would, if you pour new into it after the old had already been in it, too crusty, and then it just cracks and breaks and it gets all over the place.
That's disgusting.
And the whole thing Jesus is doing here, the simple explanation of this is, hey, I'm doing something new. Don't mix it with the old. I have a new way to, this is why the Pharisees are like, wait, we are the old. What do you mean? Like, wait, hold on. This is why they get so mad. They're not on board with what Jesus is doing because he's bringing in something new. He is the new covenant. Like, you get to this further down the line when we get into the communion and everything. But he is bringing about a new way of life, and we're not supposed to just like stir it up with our way of thinking. It's like we don't add Jesus to what we think is best for life. We don't mix him in with everything else. It's like, no, this is everything, and this is a new thing. So, but we get hit with this funky line towards the end, and it's kind of confusing actually. In 39 it says, "And no one after drinking old wine desires new, for he says the old is good." And this is us just like stuck in our old ways. I'm old man. Like, don't tell me something new or anything like that. We're resistant to change. We like the familiarity of things. We like to know what's going on. And when new things are happening, and Jesus is blowing up right now.
Oh, yeah.
So the Pharisees are like, whoa, hold up. Wait a minute. Who is this guy? Whoa. So many people are following. The teaching is with power. He's healing. All these things are happening. Something new is going on. And their response to it is, pump the brakes, no. So what should our response be to this new?
Yeah, it should be like acceptance, like score. This is so much better, right? Because I think one of the problems with these Pharisees is that they were just satisfied and content. They're like, yeah, the old is good. Like, we're fine. We don't need this new thing that you're doing, Jesus. We're good with the old stuff. It's like, no, like part of it is like you need to desperately realize like how much we need this new system. Like, it's so much better than the old way of doing stuff. Like, what Jesus is bringing here is like radically different and is so much better in so many ways.
Well, yeah, because your salvation is based off of him now, not you.
Yeah, I no longer have to like obey all these laws and sacrifice goats. Like,
oh gosh,
I'm
thankful for that.
I'm very thankful just for that alone.
And I need to be open to the change that Jesus brings in my life. I need to be constantly looking at my life and measuring it up. Am I following Jesus right now, or am I following my old, sinful, broken flesh? Like, what's going on here? And I need to be pursuing Jesus. So, what are some big takeaways?
Yep.
Time for big takeaway.
Big takeaway. I love this verse that you started by reading, that Jesus comes for the sick, not the righteous.
Yeah.
I just think it's so cool. There's no need for us to clean ourselves up. Like we were saying, like we as we're sick, as we're stuck in our sinful ways or whatever that is, like we're invited in. Jesus accepts us as we are. Like there's no need to, clean yourselves up, worry about like, oh, is Jesus going to accept me or whatever it is. Like, it's like, no, he loves you as you are, accepts you into his family. Like there's nothing else you have to do in order to be brought in.
When you're in the family, that's when the change takes place.
Yes. That's not change in order to be accepted. It's like, no, you're accepted. Now you have room to grow and to change.
To follow, for a new thing to start, new life to be breathed out of you all the time. And Jesus is doing new stuff in you all the time. This is where the excitement of following Jesus is. And this is where my big takeaway is, don't cancel people. Don't put barriers in front of people coming to Jesus. Like, let Let the good news of Jesus be proclaimed out of your life. Invite people. Always be inviting people into the kingdom and let Jesus do his work in their life. Like, we need to be constantly bringing people before Jesus. We don't need to say, oh, they're too far gone. Oh, they'll never follow Jesus. Like, no one is outside of the reach of Jesus. Like, he's God. Like, there's no barriers on him. So let's keep our eyes open to the new things that he's doing in people's lives. And let's remove barriers for them to come to Jesus. And then let's also let him do the new stuff in our life.
Yeah.
All right. It's that time.
Silly question time.
Silly question time.
Yep. So we're talking about old stuff here. What do you think is the oldest thing that you've ever eaten?
The oldest thing?
Oldest thing. Most crusty. Probably shouldn't have eaten that.
It was probably when I was a kid because I didn't look at expiration dates or anything like that. So I know for a fact that when I cleaned out the cupboard at my mom's house when she was moving, and I was finding stuff that was at least like 10 years old.
Oh.
So you know what it was? It was probably like cookies. Because like Oreo cookies or like Chips Ahoy or like whatever, and just like digging into like a 10-year-old bag and chomping on them and be like, they taste all right.
Oh,
and kind of go.
That's so nasty. That's rough.
Yeah.
There's this one time this is a couple years ago. We were cleaning out my grandpa's like fridge or whatever, and we found a thing of ketchup from 2008, expired in 2008.
Bro, that was like what?
A long time ago.
A long 11 years.
Yeah, and so we throw it away because it's like it had separated.
That's not right. Math is hard.
Math is very hard.
15 years.
15 years.
Math.
Expired 15 years ago. It had like the gross like
some of you
white
weren't alive.
film on top. Wait. Oh yeah.
Yeah.
That's weird. Dude. Ketchup almost as old as I was. That's so nasty.
No.
Anyway, we throw it away, and my grandpa pulls it out of the trash and puts it back in the fridge. He's like, no, I'm not giving up my old ketchup. So never eat ketchup at your grandparents' house. Moral of the story.
Never eat anything at grandpa's house.
Seriously.
Especially old. Yeah, no, not happening.
Ugh.
Right on. Good time.
Yep.
Go love people well.
Peace. See ya.